Welcome back, everyone. So good to see you all once again as we continue our study on the rays and the rays in face and form. So we have handouts for everyone. I hope everyone got the two handouts on morphology ray notes and the astrological sign characteristics. So these are will be very helpful, and the reason we have done this is therefore you won't need to take a lot of notes. You'll be able to use your eyes and look at faces and have fun and play with us with all this ray influence. So the other thing that I just want to mention is it's always helpful if we know how many people are coming, because then we can have enough for you. So thanks to Heidi for making a quick trip to Kinko's to get a few more, because we are so delighted to have such a great turnout. So thank you very much. So we'll get underway once again with Michael.
Okay, we're going to have a little alignment. The key to the whole process is spiritual reading. You sometimes say, well, if I look at the body, I see the body. I see the ray of the body. Well, that's not the whole story, because through the etheric body come all of these other qualities from different vehicles. So in fact, the body is the final synthesis, which should be reflecting your emotional nature, your mental nature, even your soul nature through the eyes and through other things, and who knows? I mean, the masters themselves can read still higher rays, even in the body itself. Maybe the monadic vehicle, yeah, you can leave that open, that's just fine. So when we look at the form, we are moving inward toward divine patterns which are found in other vehicles, so we have to look at the body as a composite. We're told that before every incarnation, the soul, I suppose with the aid of the solar angel, sounds its note. And it sounds the note of the causal body. The kind of composite that it has become over thousands of lives and millions of years. And notices the harmony or disharmony or the lack of fullness or excess that may be there, and chooses accordingly the next combination of rays in the vehicles to fill out what may be missing, to harmonize what may be discordant. It's somewhat like an artist standing before an unfinished canvas with all these colors in front and choosing what colors are needed next. So that is the process for each of us. You know, maybe there was a day when there were not mirrors, but maybe there was water or whatever, and when we looked in the water or the mirrors, we, the one continuous being, would have seen many different faces. Just imagine, I mean, you know, you've been everywhere and in male and female form and in every race and group and country. So the viewer, the one who sees, the observer, is ever the same, and the outer form that is seen is always different. But there may be a continuity there because that outer form is actually reflecting, as it says in astrology, those embryonic reorganized potentials, or inner life, that's in the causal body. You know, it's as if every time we have a new incarnation, what we are causally on the higher mental plane is taken and rearranged and put into a new pattern which has to work out in manifestation. So in a way, when you know what this all sums up to is to say, if we knew how to do it, if you look at the face, you're seeing the causal body. I mean, that's a big statement, you know, but you're actually seeing, not the whole of it, of course, maybe as we progress more and more towards higher initiations, those who could see a greater content of the causal body. It's always a partial reflection, but it is a reflection of something that's already there and is building and is working out. So last night you had an assignment, and you went home and looked in the mirror, I trust. I mean, did you like what you saw? I mean, how many went home and looked in the mirror? Okay, and just how many ignored what I wanted you to do? Okay. So, you have to look in the mirror carefully. Did you see things? Did you study as if it was perhaps someone else, and you were just making a close analytical observation of what you saw? Did you see qualities? Did you see kindness? Did you see uncertainty, anxiety, fear, ignorance, all those different things? Did you see anything interesting? I'm not asking you that you have to volunteer what you saw, not right now anyway, okay? But you did this, right? So now do this not only for yourself again, because maybe you missed something, okay? But do it for other people. Just, keep your eye on the person. Keep your eyes open. Because everybody is walking a book of 10,000 pages, and we're walking around with it on our face. Of course, we're not grasping everything. The face doesn't show everything, but it shows a lot of history. In those fleeting moments, history can emerge, right in a slight little corrugation of the brow or a little line appearing here. So look at the structure and look at the face dynamic. Those are two things. One is fairly stable, changes over age, maybe a little bit, and the other is dynamic in time and shows character and what you've done with the basic structure you have. Let's just have a little alignment. Okay. So quickly we merge into the field of unity here with each other. We feel as if we are all egoic lotuses, really. A beautiful flower, as it were, in various stages of unfoldment on the higher mental plane. And the radiation of this flower, which is our higher center of consciousness, this radiation goes out to all of us. We're each affecting each other with this soul radiation, even though we may be unconscious of it. And that structure will become always more and more beautiful, will be reflected always more and more in the etheric body and in the other vehicles. And the genetic pool from which the body derives will be molded and patterned according to the descending patterns from the egoic lotus, those which have been chosen, and those which must be built in will be the result of the rays which the ego chooses for the coming incarnation. So, as if before birth, maybe quite a bit before birth, maybe some years even, the ego on the higher mental plane, infused by the solar angel, sounds a note. That note is a chord. That chord is the sum of all the quality, color, and sound which vibrate in your egoic lotus. And the intelligence which is within the ego notices the fullness or the lack of fullness, the qualities missing, the next quality to be added. And then by directive organizes the lesser builders, the unconscious builders who build according to its instructions and build according to the ray which has been designated in each vehicle through the power of the permanent atom around which that vehicle is built. So the substance is added in each vehicle according to the selected ray. And probably every permanent atom, the mental unit, the astral permanent atom, the physical permanent atom, has the potentials to vibrate according to any one of the 7 rays. The pattern is selected, the building devas are instructed, and as the body is formed, it responds to these instructions, these descending patterns which are ray patterns. Heredity plays its part. There's family resemblance, of course, but there's also a ray configuration, several patterns which are taking shape within that genetic pool and which make siblings so very different from each other. So there it is, your face, your form are reflections of these inner patterns which are chosen by the solar angel ego to help the building process of your causal body progress. And as your character changes, the expression within that form changes, and perhaps especially the expression within your eyes. The structure may not change so much, it reflects the inner pattern, but as new qualities are added, expression does change. So treat your appearance with respect and the appearance of others with respect, as it does reflect an inner pattern which has to be discerned through spiritual discernment, one of the soul powers on the soul, on the third sub-level of the mental plane. So today we practice spiritual reading. We realize, well, Einstein said, subtle is the Lord, but not malicious. God may be subtle, but not malicious, meaning it may be a subtle act of perception to see the combination that has been made of the many intended ray patterns along with the hereditary trend, but sometimes pronounced types do appear. Other times it's a more subtle mixture, and you have to look at every feature closely and their combinations. And perhaps the more we advance towards the higher initiations, the more our outer form will reflect the subtlety of the inner structure. So we're on a sacred quest here of spiritual reading. And also it's fun, and it helps you keep your eyes open to all the marvelous combinations of quality which exist in life. I just want to say this is a group process. There are many astrologers here and rayologists. They have been observing things over time. So when we put down these qualities, if you see something else that is your experience and you have seen that it works, we'll add it into the list. So you can speak up on that. We only have a short amount of time for each one, but we'll give maybe 15, 14 minutes for each of the rays, and then we'll start looking at each other. Okay. Right. Sit.
Huh, I guess I'll have to sit. We hadn't really thought about that.
Is there a way to stand?
Some people are taller than others, okay? I'll do it like this. All right, so we are going to look at ray 1. And remember what we were talking about yesterday, that rayology is a ray 2 science, and as such is more abstract. As we get onto the astrology, it will be easier to pinpoint very, very specific characteristics. With rayology, in the morphology, morphology, there's so much in the eyes. There's so much in the eyes. And so as we begin to look at the different faces, first, just let the texture and quality of the person wash over you. And then we will begin to try to parse out a few things that essentialize each ray. So let's take a look at some of the qualities. So the eyes, often in the first ray, they often look out from under the brow, right? And there's a kind of, right, intensity and authority, and sometimes really a coldness. And you will see immediately the difference between the first and second ray quality in the eyes, right? One is almost a detachment and either a detachment or a penetration, and the second ray eyes are so much more available and sort of broader and receiving. But there's an impersonality that comes through the first ray eyes and an authority that comes through the first ray eyes. Again, eyebrows are always interesting, and we'll point a lot to the eyebrows, bushy eyebrows, slanted eyebrows. But in the first ray, they can slant a bit upwards or maybe quite low across the face, yeah? But pronounced, and I think that's part of the intensity of the first ray eyes, that the eyebrows go with it. There's a beam there. An aquilinity of the face, often almost a spareness in the face, right? An eagle look, and we will have one that's very much like an eagle, you shall see. The nose can be very strong in the first ray, and again, the cheekbones go along with the aquilinity of the face in that they can be higher. So there's often a very narrow feel to the face. Again, now this is the big one. Lips often, the mouth is very revealing in the first ray. Often thin, often held together. Not a lot of, I'm good, yeah, right? Not a lot of letting you in that way. So pressed tightly, and there can be compression around the mouth, and you'll see in some of the pictures, there's a to it. I'm doing a very fourth ray demonstration of this, okay. Obviously less smiling, more serious. It is interesting, of course, with pictures, you have a very first ray person and then you catch a picture of them beaming. But in general, there's a seriousness of purpose. The mouth actually often really downturned. And these are more like bodily things, but physical, there's a clench to it. You can also feel, the body aloof, not liking to be touched. You can actually obviously feel that before you hug. You don't have to hug them. Being hugged by a first ray person can be but you can also feel that they don't want to be hugged necessarily. So you can feel the remove in the body, yeah? Or the body somewhat braced. Yeah, braced, yes. I have a hallelujah here. Okay, large thumbs. And of course, that's harder to see sometimes, but it can be very clear. And actually, and interestingly, in hand analysis, the thumb is the will. And when a thumb is like overly bent over, you don't have a whole lot of first ray, but big, strong, tall thumbs, boom, first ray. You'll see this in a picture coming up, the jaw very set, can be very prominent. Because it's part of that compression, it's part of that determination. Obviously, the first ray, so many leaders, so many politicians, so many military leaders. And then the craggy lines in the face. Hopefully not when you're 18, but perhaps it happens. I don't know. So let's look at some of these. Yeah, here we go, right? I mean, he is a great example. So, look at the eyes there. Obviously Lincoln has tremendous second ray as well. First ray soul, second ray personality, right? So there is the warmth, but let's just look at that, the determination in the eyes. the aquilinity of the face. Look at the mouth here, right? It's not terribly thin lips, but thin and compressed. His nose is pretty prominent. I mean, would you say that first ray nose? I mean, like that comes through as the first ray nose. Yeah. And definitely, obviously, the craggy lines in the face. And you know, again, the eyes. There's the impersonal look, authoritative, and the holding himself erect. Here's some more pictures. There it is. You really feel. I mean, there's an intensity there. There's a purpose there. There's a will there. Yeah. And the cheekbones.
Is the deep setness of the eyes indicative also?
Scorpio combination.
Scorpio, yeah.
He's got some ruling planets in Scorpio. Look, astrology and rays, just like this, back and forth. You're never going to separate them, but we try right now for a fifth-rate purpose to do a bit of separating.
And it's going to be almost impossible to do so, but we will try. And it's great to ask those questions, too, because then we can start to blend these. But even, you know, even this sculpture is a great sort of the body erect, strong, aloof, you know, authoritative. Good. Did I miss anything there? Eyebrows, you know, first ray, again, eyebrows bushy. We also see that in some of the other rays, which we'll point out, and was one of our discoveries when we all gathered, but oftentimes the pronounced eyebrows. Okay, good. Franklin Roosevelt, first ray soul. Again, a lot of second ray, right? So you do feel some warmth in this face, but you feel incredible determination. And the jaw is, for him, is the big old deal, right? I mean, that is a jaw. The dimple,
Well, he's born in the Taurus part of Virgo rising.
Yeah, so
that's where
Taurus
the
dimple.
chin comes in.
Yeah. But again, I mean, I always go to the eyes with this, with the rays, and there is such an authority, such a determination, such a one-pointedness.
And far-seeing.
Far-seeing,
Yes,
that's good.
yes.
That's another good
Big
word to
picture,
add.
Big picture.
Yeah. Thin lips, yes, exactly. Like, look at that.
Set.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I mean, in these pictures, although of course there's so many of him that are smiling and glowing, but in these, you know, not so much smiling, right? And the jaw is set, authoritative look, yeah. Yeah, again, you know, you just want to get like a hit of it, and like, you can feel it. You can feel his strength there. Okay, this, Kekkonen is the Finnish president. He's just a really good example of the first ray, though. 30 years. 30 years of being president in Finland.
Kind of held the country together over a difficult period.
Yeah.
Right?
And again, I mean, you call it out. What are you seeing? It's clenched, yes. Thin lips again, yes. Jaw set. The big glasses of the first ray. What did you say,
Big
Frank?
glasses, yeah.
Yeah. Looking out from under the eyes, yes. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, a lot of determination, right? And even this has a bit of the far seeing, right? He does, yeah, there's a little bit of remove there.
The head looks a little detached from the body.
At the moment, yes.
A little detached from the body. Yeah, that's interesting, yeah. So, yeah, so good. Just another, yes?
Mouth.
Mouth downturned, right there, yeah. And here too, look. Mouth downturned, not a big smiler. Okay, good. Oh, okay, Ataturk.
No. This is, well, now you made me forget his name. He's Mannerheim.
Mannerheim.
He was the...
Wait, is this Mannerheim
this
too?
is
Whoops, uh-oh. Gave it away, I gave it away. Is that Mannerheim too?
This is Mannerheim.
Oh, okay.
We have a lot of Mannerheim pictures.
All right, well, okay, Mannerheim. Give me three words.
He was the Marshal of Finland during World War I and World War II.
Okay,
Very,
yeah.
very difficult job.
Again, look at this. Come on, right? And the aloofness of the body, and the downturned mouth, and the coldness. Not a lot of smiling anywhere in the face, right?
They say he knew Alice Bailey, and here's the Tibetan influence.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, and then eyebrows here are interesting too. They're kind of low, wouldn't you say? I mean, and yeah,
Tinted. He's a Scorpio rising.
you can feel that for sure.
Gemini, Scorpio rising.
Yeah. And again, the aquilinity of the face. Yeah?
Ray 1 and 7. He's a big dresser. He likes the ladies.
Big dresser and like the ladies. Okay. Yes. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the best example of the first ray. Come on. Don't you think Jim Henson had something going on? I mean, this is truly, I think that there was some meeting between rayology, morphology, and Jim Henson.
Muppets.
But come on, bushy eyebrows, he's always looking out from underneath, right? Even his feathers here, right? His nose was pronounced. I do want to do a whole rayology Muppets connection. That's forthcoming for next year. It's a new book. That's probably the book I'll write. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And even the aquilinity of the face, I mean, it's all there. So, feathery ears, I don't know.
Feathery ears, maybe not.
Yeah, yeah. Hair coming out of the ears? Have you noticed anything about that morphologically?
Maybe it's more like a Mars-Pluto thing. And there's a lot of hairy fifth-ray people, you know.
But he would have a lot of, yeah, he would have a lot of Scorpio too. He's always looking down through, yeah. He's not cuddly, no, yes.
And even to be called eagle, which is the first ray.
I know, it's because they say eagle eyes. The eagle eyes, yeah.
The eagle eye.
Yeah.
Look for that.
Yeah,
It sees everything from a great distance, and it's cold in the eyes.
yeah. And I suppose that's part of the far seeing too, because the eagle eye looks down and can penetrate and grab its prey, right? So.
That's right. That's right.
So good, that encapsulates
These
it.
are
Okay.
generalities. These are generalities.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
nothing is quite so simple. But at least if you can hang on to a few things, see, wonderful fourth ray look. Okay, just basically go around with the camera, shoot. Freeze people when they're showing the look. And then you'll have a nice collection.
Okay, so that's first ray. Any other comments or any other observations or?
I think we're trying to keep to the
Okay,
sort of
here we go.
15 minutes a thing, and we'll look to see in your nature. There's a lot of second-rate people here, but certainly there's someone who's disagreeable. Look at Nicholas at the moment. Don't move. You see, it's important. The first thing you say to a person when you notice something, you say, "Don't move." See, that's it. Then they freeze it, and then you can study it. You see, this is very important.
Okay, so ray 2.
Okay, well, this is really different from ray 1, as you will see. The gaze is kind. It's kind of nice to be around. The eyebrows may slope downwards, which has to do with the fact that sometimes ray 2 seems sad. There's a natural, relaxed smile. And when the mouth is resting, when it's just, not trying to put on an impression, it's smiling. It's a smiling mouth. The face is soft. Generally, the nose is soft as well. There's not the jutting Roman nose with the bump in it. And there's smile lines around the eyes. The features look serene sometimes. The mouth, again, is relaxed. The hands are interesting because they bless. The hands, when they move gracefully, and they bless. And you'll see this in a picture that's coming up. And the body likes to be touched. You may notice there's lots of hugging that goes on around here, probably because so many of us are second ray. There's the blessing hands. And he's just such a wonderful example of ray 2. I mean, you'll see so many ray 2 attributes in the Dalai Lama. The kindly gaze, serene, the beautiful, beautiful hands. So if you take him in, you've got just a wonderful, wonderful feeling for ray 2. Ready next?
You got the Libran smile, see? The smile is the main thing there. Of course, we know his inner nature is quite firm. We know that too.
Yeah.
But that's, that's another story.
We have a question, is it Ray Tussaud?
Ray Tussaud.
Yeah.
Let's just see. I don't think there's anything too marked about it. They have a nice slope.
Yeah,
You know.
but they're not sloping.
They're not particularly one way or another.
Nobody ever mentions the quiet humor, the goodwill that Ray too expresses.
Goodwill, yes, of course. But these are more morphological issues.
But he expresses that joy that
Absolutely.
comes out in everything.
Jupiter, very Jupiter. He's a sun in Cancer. He's everybody's person. Libra rising, man of peace. And I think his moon in Gemini. Does anybody remember? Kind of playful. Okay.
Yeah.
We can't get into it too much. Personality Ray, perhaps the fourth. Perhaps the fourth.
What about the sparkle in the eyes?
That's it. That's a Ray 2 thing. That's
Okay, next slide. This is different examples to show the different attributes. So many samples we have are of men. I decided to look specifically for women. And you can see in Maria Montessori, the kindly gaze. You can see the smile lines really around her eyes. You can see the very soft sort of nose. And when she was young, look at she even pensive, she's got a smile. Mm-hmm. So that's that relaxed smile that we see for a Ray 2. Clara Barton, there you see the eyebrows sloping downward. Mm-hmm. And you look straight on, that straight on picture in the center, that smile is it's just her. And again, that persistent, consistent smile. Here, I think, in the third picture, she looks rather stern. Mm-hmm. But there is the smile.
She had a lot of Aries.
Ah.
But remember, DK was behind the Red Cross, right? And so here's the founder of the Red Cross.
Okay. And here, I think Michael mentioned yesterday, someone who's done studies. I've forgotten his name
James
now.
Davis.
James Davis. But this is his work. And you see, again, all of those smiles. Their eyebrows, as we said earlier, they curve downward, and you'll see they curve downward for sure. The upper eyelids may curve downward, right here, which mine do, and it's very annoying sometimes when I want to look pretty because it's hard to get the makeup on.
Here's a little bit of the fourth ray thrown in with the second ray, that upwards slanting eyebrow, and then this one goes down. So combinations show.
Yeah. And there, he's looking kind of quizzical, but still, there's that smile. The Ray 2, the face is relaxed, smile is characteristic. And in a Ray 2 smile, you feel the genuine warmth, you feel the genuine love, the genuine affection for you. And their type tends to be perceived as understanding and friendly. Primary words, loving calmness. And you can see in the faces, she did musicians. I really don't know who these people are, but I just think the faces are so characteristic of Ray 2.
Are these Ray 2 souls?
I don't think you can differentiate that way. Because it all shows up in the face. So it's the power to read combinations is what's important.
So any of the bodies can show up in the face.
Right.
Yes, they can, but we're looking especially at the personality and soul.
Okay, so this is a test. This slide is a test. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you see in the first picture. Warmth, good. Actually, choose any. Choose any and tell me what you see. These are all Ray 2s, but give me the characteristics.
Mainly thin lips first and the smiling look.
Uh-huh, good. And Suzuki, you see his eyebrows kind of go down. He's in the center at the top. And look at that beautiful smile.
These
are all inviting faces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're soft, the face is soft.
Right.
And Anne Frank, you have a little bit of like the wisdom in the eyes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the desire for knowledge.
And the gentleman on the left, his eyebrows are perfect for a Ray 2.
Who is, do we know who he is?
I cannot remember who he is. He's a musician, I think. Or maybe a writer. It could,
Looks like what, Ralph Waldo Emerson. I
it
wonder.
is.
Uh-huh.
It's Emerson.
Now, he's second rate. They used to call him the Boston Brahmin. You know, he wrote all those second rate things, yeah.
Okay, and the body loves to be touched. Lots of hugs. Okay, thank you.
There are many different second-rate types, of course. And, you know, if you get the austere wisdom type and you compare it to the pure love type, or compare it to the detailed knowledge type, they may look a little different in the face. But what do we have, 15 minutes per thing?
Yep.
Okay, so we have still 3 minutes for the other one. I'm just keeping track.
It's all right, you don't need to keep track.
We don't want to be too obsessive about this, right? but before we leave Ray 2, since it's so important, we have to look. That's nice. Yeah, freeze. You know, of course that could. The Ray 2 personality will also show up. Let's just see. Don't look at Keith. It's okay. He's an example of the more austere wisdom type at the moment. Okay. Yeah, that's a nice one back there. Okay. Let's look around. Let's look around. See if you see what you just saw. That's the thing. You do. Gail.
Yeah.
Oh, Gail. Oh, Gail. Gail. Oh, hi. And see, and there's Tony next to her, and he's got a lot of it. Only I think it may be in the personality. See. So, Tony, do you want to? That's Tony. I know. You know, he's not usually in these crowds, but occasionally he comes in. Yeah, he's got a lot of Ray 2, but a lot of Ray 3 too. But you're all pretty good examples of that. Lots of it in this room. Some of you are not exactly showing that. Okay.
Okay, we're moving on to Ray 3. So we remember some of the qualities we learned of Ray 3, and we'll see them coming up in a lot of these descriptions. Ray 3, as we know, can be found on the soul. It can be found on the personality. It can be found quite a lot on the physical form, and sometimes on the mind. So like has been said, there's no way we can see where it is by looking at the various descriptives that we're going to talk about in the form. So the shifting, evasive eyes. See, the third ray is about activity. So the eyes are constantly moving from side to side or up and down. They're shifting. And maybe we all know that shifty eyes can sometimes reveal a quality that we think of not such a great quality, right? Third ray has, of course, its positive and negative qualities depending on how it's used. There's the abstracted look in the eyes. Third ray can be so abstract, right? And there's that, you can see that they're thinking, and therefore they're not really looking at anything, they're not staring at anything, and therefore the eyes look abstracted. Frequently they're absorbed in thought and not seeming to be present for the very same reasons that I just described. Fingers move a lot. They drum or they fidget. If any of you watch The View and you've watched Joy Behar, she might have a lot of Gemini, she might have a lot of third ray. Her fingers are constantly moving. My son has a third ray physical form. He's constantly twirling pencils or fidgeting and doodling when he's talking. Or if any of you have watched Michael when he's sitting there, his leg will constantly move back and forth. You see the third ray restlessness through his leg.
Is that nice?
So there's a lot of third ray physical forms that need to move, and it comes out in different ways. Fingers far apart, and we're going to show you some pictures. I was trying to get very, very specific to find the very thing we're looking for. So the fingers are far apart. They have a lot. Third ray is about a lot or muchness, and they spread it out to bring more energy, more space between their fingers. the hands rub together in a scheming kind of way, right? That kind of thing. Considerable talk. Third ray, if it's in the physical form, means that the brain is a third ray brain, and therefore the need to speak very fast comes very naturally to third ray. Even if it's in the personality, it can still come through as rapidity of speech. And of course, the casual movements, and we see that also in the way the third ray dresses. There's a casual look to the third ray form. A bodily stillness is sometimes very difficult for third ray. The Tibetan also tells us there's a lot of third ray personalities, especially early on in one's evolution. So we will see a lot of that as we look out into society. Not walking in a straight line, going around things. This is like doing a crab walk. You know, the crab for cancer is a third ray, a symbol, and they don't walk in a straight line. And hair often not combed or neatly arranged. So third ray is so casual, they almost don't care about their appearance sometimes, and the third ray hairstyle, as we will see, can be very messy.
Every day is a bad hair day.
Like the hair here, or here. It's very hard to see the mind working here, but we know him to be a third ray individual. This one too, he's not really staring at anybody, and it almost looks like a faraway gaze. Love the hair. I'm glad to see there was a sense of humor there too. Now, did a lot of searching for this. You've all seen him talk, right? And he can talk a mile a minute. There's no stopping him. The language is so fast that if you don't pay attention, you miss the jokes. Look at the widespread fingers. I mean, there's fourth ray here too. There's the comedian, there's the entertainer, but even the juggling of the lemon, so third ray, the juggling.
That's right. That's right.
And the needing to zip up the mouth, right? So third ray. So you're going to see the third ray very much in the form, not just in the face. It's kind of hard to see it in the face. It's more the whole form we look at, because so often it's in the physical form, physical etheric. The hair.
Well, yes. Maybe it's more in the soul, He's got Leo rising. What are you going to do?
I just have one question for Robin Williams to Jonathan Winters. Is he a 3 also? Do you know?
Oh, he definitely would be somewhere the 3 in Jonathan Winters, but the comedy is more fourth ray. It's the way in which it's delivered we would look at for third ray. Is it done with a lot of body movements? Is it done with a lot of speed in the speech? The comedy itself is not what we're calling third ray, okay?
And here you see a lot of first ray, too.
Right.
Really big ego, probably in the personality.
These ones I chose to show that distant gaze, the thinking that goes on behind the scenes.
That's good. This has arrogance.
Okay. Again, the fingers apart. I think that's it.
Nice.
The mixture is the thing. When you get someone like Donald Trump, he's obviously a big businessman, of course, but his name reveals the first ray, doesn't it? Whatever you do, I can trump it. And so he's got a lot of Leo and Sagittarius, And the first ray is a big issue with him, but behind it all, there's a lot of financial manipulation going on as well. What time do we, how long do we, when do we take our break? I'm just wondering if we take long enough here.
You did.
Okay, 10:45, yeah. Let's just see if there's any examples here. Well, David's interests are very third ray. You know, the ongoing astronomy, astrology, mathematics. And you have some Capricorn in your chart, which is a third ray sign. But maybe
The hair.
you have some. Well, you know, well, it's not just that. The eyes are really important. The distant look, the look as if, you see, the abstracted look is you're not seeing what's in front of your face, you're seeing what's way out there. That's what the Einstein look is all about. You're thinking about that which is not immediately before you. It is abstracted. Completely different from the fifth ray look, as you will see. Well, maybe, who feels they have third ray in their makeup? Yes, okay. Right. Anybody here think of yourself as a third ray soul? Okay. Well, I've been questioning about Tony. He's interested in a lot in infinity. That helps, you know. When you get into those mathematical things, the third ray can be indicated. Right.
I would say there's a lot of people here with third ray in the physical form.
What DK said about the third ray is that the majority of personalities today are found on the third ray and the sixth ray. Now, if he says the majority, you know, you have to be fairly attentive to what he has said. The third ray physical, yes, of course. But now, when you start to look at the face, you're seeing the more inner qualities, and that's what I'm looking for. Well, I'll tell you what. If it stands out, we'll call a freeze, and everybody will look. Okay? Okay. I think Bob's got a fair bit of the third ray there. Now, just because there's super activity, tremendous activity, coordinating all kinds of things, and he's Cancerian, which is the third ray sign. I'm not sure that I'm seeing it so much yet. Yes?
I noticed a truncated brow. Is that part of the third ray?
Truncated brow, not James Davis says it kind of arches. Now, Einstein's eyebrows come down like this. Why? Classically, Pisces has the eyebrows that descend in this manner. So is it a truncated brow? I don't know. That's a theory, and let's see if we can verify that or not. Einstein has a truncated headline in his hand. It just floats without a beginning and without an end. It's just there. Yeah, yeah. But when you look at the side, you see it comes down because of the Pisces sun. Okay. You have it. You have it. This man has been in banking a long time. He's from the Netherlands. Say hi. This is Eric. And I think he has some third ray. Yes. Yes?
Okay. Ray 4, the ray of harmony through conflict. A lot of people who are involved in diplomacy are manifesting the higher aspects of the fourth ray, trying to mediate the conflict situations in the world. And although the Tibetan firmly states that artists are found on all of the rays, it does seem to be a conditioning ray influence in many people who are in the artistic field. So here are some of the morphology related to the fourth ray. Eyes that have a pained look, a worried look, all that does not indicate serenity. Of course, that can be modified if it's a second ray soul, perhaps with a fourth ray personality. Eyebrows may rise from the outer edge towards the center, giving the appearance of pain and suffering. The brow is corrugated. Face may wear a troubled expression. face seems to contradict itself, as if split in two or split in half. A lot of mental diseases go with the fourth ray. A house divided against itself. Perhaps that can also be indicative of a fourth ray mind as well. Expression on the face may change suddenly. Often there's beauty of face and features, regularity of form, harmonious constitution of features, such as Elizabeth Taylor. Involuntary wringing of the hands may occur. Hands pulled against each other can have a serene, beautiful, and harmonious look, or a tendency to pull the hair out of the head. Okay, so just a few examples of possible fourth ray, people who had fourth ray strong. Oh, sorry, these are, well, I think I'll skip this. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, probably a fourth ray soul, would you say, Michael?
Well, I would say so, yes. Perhaps more like a second-rate personality, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure that this is a really, you know, I'm not sure we can see that because we have no true photographic likeness of him.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that that is him.
Quite a good example here. Vincent van Gogh. Corrugated brow. A sense of agony in the face.
And I would like to just say intensity
Yeah.
of Aries and the sixth ray added to the mix. Because this is probably a fourth ray soul, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we don't have any with his ear cut off, but that was another
That was later, yeah.
indication.
Talk about a house divided against yourself, you know.
Only sold, I believe, 1 or 2 paintings in his entire life.
One to his brother.
One, yeah. Never knew that his work would ever reach the masses of humanity.
But you can see as a child,
Yeah.
even there, around the eyes, that's that intensity of look. It's going to come with Aries, and you can see the receding chin. You'll later see that that is connected with Sagittarius.
Mm.
And the flattening, there's a flattening under the eyes, too. He had a lot of Pisces, this guy, too. Okay, Rousseau.
Jean-Jacques Rousseau, great writer, had a very kind of fourth ray life, I would say. Probably fourth ray at the personality level. I'm not sure that we can really see it so much, but in his facial features.
You see a second ray thing there.
Yeah, it's a very strong soul coming through. But there was a real tortured aspect to this man's life.
It's hard without photographs.
Yeah. Marilyn Monroe, again, I think if we see her live, you know, in her, the images that don't really capture so much the extreme vulnerability that she manifested, just a real fourth ray quality that came through her presence and her tragic life. Great sensitivity. I mean, I think she was very much misunderstood, just wanting to be loved.
I have a friend who knew her very well.
Yeah.
And she was, you know, strong Gemini, Leo rising. And basically, she said to the friend, okay, now I'll do Marilyn.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an immediate
Right.
change, you see.
Right.
In other words, how she was and who Marilyn was were like two different people.
Yeah.
A character she created and put on when it was time.
She could do it, and she
Yeah.
had the power to manipulate that.
Chameleon-like, quality.
Here, perhaps. I mean, I think there's many pictures of her that would give us the image. Here, the radiance of her Leo ascendant is coming through.
Neptune rising also.
Yeah, there's the glamour, Neptune rising.
Yeah,
It doesn't always mean mysticism.
yeah.
But apparently an intelligent person who, really put a false persona out there and was someone rather different.
Yeah, a very serious actress, indeed. Many people don't realize that.
Tried to be anyway. Yes. Well, and some of that is a bit of how you do the makeup, I suppose. But this is more to do with the astrology, I think, and maybe more that she's fundamentally a second-rate type.
Yeah. John Lennon. I think he had a lot of fourth ray, obviously, but for first ray as well.
Yep.
I mean, you can see the thin lips. A lot of his facial characteristics also embody that first ray type. But
His sad eyes.
yeah,
The eyebrows.
there's
are
a
bushy.
tortured kind of look to him.
This is the Scorpio part of him, you see. The veiled Oriental look.
Yeah,
First ray, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
think there's some of that, quite strong.
we're more popular than Jesus. He said.
Quite a statement. Yeah,
And he probably meant, I'm more popular than Jesus.
well, the Aries thing is really there.
Yeah,
But Libra, sometimes it's hard to tell. Anyway, we'll get into that. But, yeah, fourth ray is there, but is it showing in the face? Not
Yeah,
necessarily at
yeah,
this
not
point. Not
necessarily.
so much. Well, I guess we feel different things.
Isadora Duncan,
Okay.
great dancer, who really brought forth modern dance. Lived, again, it's so much of my perception of these individuals is through a knowledge of their lives, which were so fourth ray. And I'm not sure that the photographs can illustrate the tragedy of this woman's life and the depth of her artistic ability.
She had major Aries and Scorpio, right?
Yeah,
And what a neck, that boy. I mean, we'll get into it later, but as long as we're there, that Aries neck, that long one, and the dimple in the chin for Scorpio, and the tragedy for, yeah.
The fourth picture is very tragic.
yeah,
I mean, probably a fourth ray soul, probably in this case.
The dimple in the chin in that.
We're going to get to that. It's a Scorpio-Taurus thing.
She died tragically.
yeah, and her two children are also killed tragically, so,
Yeah, in an
difficult.
auto accident,
yeah,
rolling off a bridge.
yeah,
Talk about, Gemini and traffic and cars and all that,
yeah.
And she died in an auto accident.
Yeah, with a scarf caught around her neck.
Strangulation,
Yeah.
Scorpio.
Yeah.
That lower picture, I think, shows it the best, don't you think, Kathy?
Yeah,
This one,
yeah.
Yeah.
that shows it.
Leonardo da Vinci,
Corrugated brow.
corrugated brow, quite a sad face.
Right there.
Yeah.
around the eyes.
Probably a fourth ray soul, would you say? Yes.
DK says so.
Okay.
Plus fifth ray.
I'm seeing a lot of brow and corrugated face in this.
Yeah.
Is that just age or am I?
No, that's the condition, I think. He had, interestingly enough, obviously no one could do what Da Vinci did without the fifth ray. And you see this incredible development around eyebrows with some of these fifth ray people. You're going to see that. He had certainly a fifth ray mind, in my view.
Are those self-portraits?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah Bernhardt, great, perhaps one of the greatest actresses of the last, century.
The beautiful swan neck goes with Scorpio, and the oriental eyebrows, the lids. You can't separate this. As long as there's good examples, you might as well use it.
Yeah.
You have that. the divine Sarah. She even played Hamlet, didn't she?
I don't know.
Yeah, she did.
I saw, there can be, Heidi mentioned the first ray type being related to the thumb. The fourth ray type could be related to the Apollo finger, the ring finger. And I did see a picture of her palm, and she had an extremely long Apollo line all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a pronounced Apollo line under the ring finger can be indicated in fourth ray types.
I agree with that. I think that's a good estimate.
Okay.
Does anybody have the worried look? Because if you're not worried, you should be. This class is going to go on a long time. You know, actually, I'm stalking now. Okay. Okay, this is okay. Katya, freeze. Oh! Katya has these marvelous eyebrows that when she's feeling compassion, they go up like this. I don't know if you can see that yet, but she'll do that. Keep an eye on her, because she'll do it. She'll do it unpredictably. The eyebrows will suddenly go up like this. See? This is the fourth ray thing. Does anybody feel you have a corrugated brow? Yes, yes, you do. Yes. Those are called worry lines, and DK tells us that the fret of the fourth ray is oftentimes showing. But then later, with the harmony type, the beautiful serenity can come over the face too, see? When you look at that Botticelli painting, the Venus painting, you know, there's got to be loads of fourth ray, but there it's beautifully serene. Look, here's how it is with fourth ray. The higher part of it is ruled by Venus, the lower part is ruled by Mars. So the higher part is this wonderful serenity, and the lower part is full of all of the friction. So maybe it's possible to graduate from one to the other. I hope so. Aha, I see some Scorpio. Okay. Oh, freeze, Iris. Yep, okay. Iris has a wonderful combination of the fourth and second ray, and I think you can see that. I think she has transcended worry. Or have you? She has the beautiful serenity of it. Just keep your eyes open. Claire, too, she's another one. There has to be, she has to have some fourth ray, of course, but it's more on the Venus side. More on the Venus side. It'll correlate more with Libra. I know you don't have that so much, but correlates with Libra. Okay. Oh, no, well, yeah, I bet I'm making a transition to the sixth ray. I'm trying to become a fanatic. It's very easy. Watch what you say. I know. You see, I make jokes. That's the fourth ray part. All right, proceeding.
Okay, we're moving on to the fifth ray. Lucky that I'm working now with another mental ray. In a way, they're the two hardest to see on the face because they are mental.
6 minutes ahead.
So eyes with short, keen observational focus. This is what James Davis tells us. Sometimes an intense interest in the eye so that they glow with mental interest. They're so absorbed in what they're doing. And it's not that far away gaze that we had with the third ray. It's more into matter, into what it is that they're doing. It's riveted. The fifth ray likes to focus, and it brings the focus into a very narrow span, like the laser beam, like having blinders on. So the interest in the eyes is definitely to something, to a point, to a narrow area, whether it's in a lab, whether it's in a book, whether it's in anything that they're doing, carpentry, anything. It's a narrow focus. Or you can have a business-like look. What is that look? Okay, no nonsense. There you go. A dry look. Unemotional. There you go. Unemotional, unresponsive. Sometimes they can think before they speak. Aloof, There isn't that warmth. There isn't the fuzziness that goes with some of the other rays. It's a hardline ray. Fingers give the mudra of precision. This kind of thing. Fixed hands. How would you describe fixed hands, Michael?
Manual intelligence, let's go there.
Okay.
Fixing hands.
Fixing hands, sorry. Fixing hands.
In other words, I'd rather have a fifth-ray surgeon than a fourth-ray surgeon.
Uh-huh. So there's got to be dexterity. There's got to be a certain kind of dexterity in the hands if they're working with manual things, right? Non-rhythmic movements, we tend to say fifth ray is the ray that can be awkward. So there isn't that flow, there isn't that fluidity through the body movements. Sometimes, like learning how to dance is very hard for fifth ray. Well, it's just in the hands. It's not necessarily in the body, right?
He said a mind and brain embodied in a man.
A mind and
And
brain embodied in a
exactly.
man.
Yeah.
So, again, are we going to necessarily see it that clearly here for fifth ray? Remember, it's a mind thing. But we do see the seriousness, we do see the intensity in the eyes, and here he's thinking more about his work here. Stayed up all night trying to figure out how to get this particular instrument to work.
5 nights in a row
5 nights.
with wine laced with cocaine.
That intensity. Now, would you all look at the intensity of the eyes and look at the eyebrows on all the pictures we're going to show you? Just take a look at the eyebrows. Okay? What happened there?
You just hit the forward button.
Thank you very much. Okay. Look at the eyebrows. Well, we had so much fun with this. We came to the conclusion that the fifth ray, of course, governs or is governed by Venus. Venus is the fifth ray planet, right? The Ajna center right here is fifth ray. It's where there is the thinking processes that go on, and it seems that area is very pronounced. It shows itself in the eyebrows and in the eyes.
This is Niels Bohr. Robert Oppenheimer is somewhere else. But he also shows that. Robert Oppenheimer is a very thin guy, Taurus, but the same thing. This is Niels Bohr, the Danish physicist.
So that's not Robert Oppenheimer?
Not as I know him.
Okay, well, since I never met him, you know. Okay.
This is the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen. Now, of course, it does go a bit with Mars and Pluto, too, the Scorpio thing. Sandy, well, okay. This was not an easy guy, okay? This is perfect. The closest we've come is Brett.
Yes, Brett. If
The closest
anybody gets a chance, Brett, we're not embarrassing.
Check
you.
out Brett's
his-
eyebrows.
Yeah, and he has a lot of fifth ray to him. You cannot see it from here. You've got to look at, like we had back here, we saw, for example, Thomas Edison, we saw him from the profile. You see the way the eyebrows are from the profile. Sometimes you don't see it straight on. The same thing with whoever this person is in the corner. The eyebrows, look at it from a profile, and so you can see the way it is. Sometimes straight on, you don't see it. Yeah. So when you have a chance to engage Brett, look at his eyebrows from the side.
Notice. There you go. There he is.
That's Oppenheimer. Okay.
There he is. There he is. That's Oppenheimer.
That's Oppenheimer.
Those two. They say he learned Sanskrit in 3 weeks. Well, maybe just a story. This is quite strong, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he's also a Taurus, so keep that in mind because it thickens the eyebrows. This guy's a Capricorn.
Sorry.
So it's okay.
Okay, ray 5. Hard to know here, right? We just know that this man does give us a good example of the fifth ray in his work.
There's sometimes a dry look, a little bit detached from ordinary. Of course, this is a special case. But he had a lot. Was he born on the same day as Newton? I believe so. He's a Capricorn with, I think, Gemini rising. Technology saved his life. Aha, that's it. When you see people doing this, it's often they're at least invoking the fifth ray energy. Let's be exact about this.
That's it. Any fifth ray people here besides Brett?
Any fifth ray personalities, as you can see, but it's a nice second ray look. Excuse me for changing rays. David has a bit of the third ray. You know, if your hair were longer, you'd have it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Michael, my hair is long because my barber's been ill.
Oh, okay, no, it should be longer yet, then you really do it. Any fifth, you know, we don't, in our groups, well, there were just a couple of fifth-rate personalities, right, Elena? Wherever's, Elena's not here? Okay, just a couple of fifth-rate, Elena? No. A couple of, yes, Elena. A couple of fifth-rate personalities in the group, whether or not? 2 or 3? Just 2 or 3, right? Maybe we have pictures of them, too.
I tried to be one, but they talked me out of it.
Okay, and did you give them good reasons why they shouldn't talk you out of it?
No. So I'm trying out my new color.
Okay, you know, when you get into a Ray group, people will rearrange you real fast, so. Finally, they'll tell you everything you are, and then you just have to go into the closet and find out what you are. Well, as I say, not so frequently do we find the fifth-rate types, but they do have there's a separation between them and others. This is what you will feel. DK calls this non-magnetic. It's a concentration within themselves, and there's like a hiatus between them and others. So it's in the auric field. It feels a little bit isolative. It is an aspect of the first ray.
Could it be because this group doesn't draw fifth rays so much? As if you went to Los Alamos, you might find people.
Yeah, a lot more in Los Alamos. Well, we can learn to think. Yeah, oh yes, I know.
Question.
Yes.
I noticed in more than other pictures, a lot seem thicker around the neck.
You'll look there for the Taurus influence and sometimes Scorpio. We'll discuss that in a bit. Well, I just think we just have to draw more fifth-rate people, don't you? I mean, really. Brett, see what you can do. Attract them.
I was telling the group yesterday when we were working on the rays, I was telling the group about this surgeon that worked on my dad, open heart surgery. He was phenomenal as a surgeon, and he had such a wonderful way of explaining what he was going to do. I was so impressed with him and his knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And then I happened to have the opportunity to see him in a social environment where it was a buffet and everybody had to help themselves to the food. I looked with such awe at how awkward this man looked. He didn't know what ladle to use, what spoon to use. He could barely put the food on his plate in a flowing way. It just, the contrast between that awkward social environment and that professionalism that I saw in his office and what he did was just so contrasting.
Yeah, really interesting. When you're trying to contrast fifth and seventh rate types, that's exactly where you go. They are so graceful and socially appropriate, not the fifth rays. So, yeah. Harold Moses, I think he has a fifth ray mind. Fifth ray mind, he does. But we'll come and see him. He's very technical, but he lives a fourth ray life. Okay. All right, well, we'll keep looking. I mean, surely, wait, Nicholas. Well, Rick is a good fifth ray mind, and he's not here. And Peter has a fifth ray mind, and so the question is, how does it show up? Does it show in the face? Does the mind? It's usually soul and personality. Do you see something? Or is it in the aura? Is it more in the feeling around the person? You've got a fifth ray mind. Right? There's a little bit of aloofness that goes with the fifth ray, just as with the first ray. Okay. All right.
Okay, moving on to the sixth. So again, the eyes. So in the sixth ray, the eyes are narrowed. You know, the distant vision, the goal, the horizon, almost the feeling of blinders. I'm headed there and only there. And you know, also an upward gaze. Often you'll see, and riveted on the ideal, riveted on the point to which we are headed. Intense sincerity, right? Yeah, that is infused with a kind of idealism. You believe me, come with me, is in the eyes there, yeah? Eyebrows straight over the eye or slanting downwards. Yeah, now, it's interesting with I mean, how would you differentiate with the first ray versus the sixth ray across the eyes? Because it's like we were talking also about it being low over the eyes.
I think
with the
we
first
have
ray.
to look at the kind of look in the eye.
Yeah, yeah. But there's in this case, they wouldn't be looking out from under. They would be looking
Exactly,
up.
not out from under. No.
Yeah. Again, isn't it interesting, all of these, the first 4 or 5, are all, in fact, all of them are almost about the eyes. Steady, even intense or riveted gaze, eyes burning, glowing, right, with the vision. Or passive devotional gaze, right? They're in that dream. They're in the dream, the fantasy, the ideal. We'll see that in a picture coming up. Hands clenching for emotional emphasis.
Usually
Yeah?
this way. This
Yeah.
is what you see.
Yeah.
You know, when you see this, that's more
First,
first rate.
yeah, yeah.
The hands clenched, the body braced. When you see, I was taking a walk with someone the other day, and he started to explain something to me. And I understood the presence of the sixth ray. So watch people carefully about that, because the intensity goes right into the hands.
Yeah, good. Yeah, or hands tense, often with fingers spread apart. That's interesting when we were looking at the third ray, but I don't,
Well,
again,
they you know,
this,
the third ray, yeah,
there's this,
exactly.
and then this one.
These, for the sixth ray, it's fixed. The ideal is fixed for the sixth ray. For the third ray, they may be far apart, but they move.
Yeah, as if energy is pouring through them. Oh, the preachers, right, with the sixth ray? Yes. Walking in a straight line, run not so straight. Yes, I'm headed this way and only this way, right? Not the third ray crab.
And the third ray says, how can we get around that? See, they're always saying around that. We can get around that. And it even works with how they walk. You
Yeah.
know, more like this way instead of straight forward.
But the sixth ray barrels through. Yeah, and the praying hands, the praying devotional hands. Okay, so here we go. Yes, we're gonna visit him. We're gonna visit him a couple times, but we'll start by visiting him now, right? So look at those eyes, like this earnest, kind of devotional look. Yeah, and of course the hand here.
Aries rising, so of course.
Yes, and the ruler of his Aries rising is Mars, which is in Sagittarius, a sixth ray sign. So. And actually, Aries and Scorpio.
He's
Yeah.
a Scorpio, and his Mars and his moon are together in Sagittarius at the top of the chart.
So that's tremendous sixth ray pouring through, regardless of where it is in his.
Sixth ray soul, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So yeah, you just see the upward look here, the intensity, the devotion, that almost staring right through, like, yeah. The first two, maybe, yeah.
Well, there's Aries, you know.
So Father Damien, who fourth degree initiate, right?
Well, that's what DK seems to imply.
And he sort of said that, here's the fourth, he worked with the lepers, he contracted leprosy, here is the fourth initiation in some ways right before us, right? Father Damien, he worked with the lepers.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
A Capricorn with the Taurus rising, okay? Sixth ray soul, obviously.
Yeah.
And my God, look at
Yeah,
that.
look at dual lasers. Look at that.
Look at that.
It's amazing. Okay. Little sixth ray. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, again, in some of these pictures, this almost looks fourth ray to me. A little bit of the tragic.
But nobody would go there. Molokai Island, nobody would go there. And as a matter of fact, the story Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is written about this man and the man who criticized him. He was the good Dr. Jekyll, and one of the prelates of the Christian church thought he was such a dirty man and, just tried to dismiss him. And his name was Hyde.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then Robert Louis Stevenson got a hold of that and, made it into the story of the ambivalence. Even in the church of a Dr. Jekyll, kindly giving his whole life, and a Mr. Hyde in the church. You see where they just did that?
You did a lot of sixth ray, actually.
I guess I
at the
did.
moment. Watch him, okay. Yeah. Yeah, and again, some of the devotional look in the eyes as well. Okay, Osama. And, also in Osama, we see the Pisces very strong. This is the Pisces eyebrow, which we'll look at. But, of course, sixth ray coming through the Pisces. But you also have a bit of the eyes. I don't know if, eyes with the distant vision, with the with the one-pointedness.
And watery look a bit,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah, he looks very Pisces, yeah.
and he's always teaching, or is it preaching? You know, he's doing that.
Do you, Sixth Ray Soul?
So yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
again,
Yeah.
Sixth Ray Soul, I think so. And as some people have said, rather saintly looking at times.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's many things. Yeah, this is a little different.
This is interesting, like the you know, the finger pointing. I mean, I
Yes, well, this is called the Jupiter finger,
yeah.
and it has in it a lot of first ray as well as the sixth ray.
Yeah.
And it's like this or like that.
Joan Baez, songwriter, singer. I just look at her eyes. That to me is that very sort of. It's got a little bit of fourth ray too, but there's a kind of dreaminess to it, a better world.
Oh yeah, look at
Certainly
that. Oh,
there.
look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
That's the devotional look. She's a Capricorn with Aries rising.
Yeah, tremendous idealism. Also a bit of a second ray face there, would you say? I don't know. But the eyes there. Some combination of sixth ray and fourth ray. I would
She's so
say.
intense that when she sings, her voice quivers. You remember her voice? It's just riveting. And her vibrato is very, 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 very fast. This is the sign of the sixth ray.
Oh, the voice.
But the voice is like that, you know.
Buffy St. Marie had that even more.
Yeah.
Buffy St. Marie. We're revealing our age.
Okay, good. Yeah, and this is just a good collection. Of course, Mother Teresa is a huge example of sixth ray, second ray. Joan of Arc, there we have a very good example of the eyes turned upward. Who
Who
is
is that
this?
guy?
Who is this guy? But we know he's sixth ray.
Who is it?
Yeah, he's awfully.
And it's kind of Neptune, isn't it, you know?
Yeah.
And I can assure you, Joan of Arc didn't look like that. She was a Capricorn with Leo rising. But whatever, the eyes
Yeah.
show you the sixth ray.
Yeah, and you can't, the intensity here. And then this is, the kind of idealism here.
A little naivete.
Naivete. Danny Kaye? Is that Danny Kaye?
That's Danny Kaye.
Yeah.
And this is Bing Crosby. I don't know.
Would you give that as sixth ray?
I don't know why,
I don't know
he's,
why
why
he's
he's there, but
Yeah.
he's not thinking a whole lot. In this picture.
But for sure here, we could put more pictures of Mother Teresa, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But again, the sixth ray, such a connection to
Bob
the eyes.
Hope.
Bob Hope.
Any third ray? See? You trust that you're going to buy a car from him? A used car?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why he's there, but there he is.
Strong jaw with him,
His
too.
name is Hope. So he's there in this picture.
I think that's it. Oops, yes. All right, little sixth ray. The ray of undue intensity.
Let's all pray together. Are you ready? Just want to see who does it
Oh, I'm gonna
well.
move here. Let me just get this set up.
The eyes gazing upward, or the intensity of the gaze. Just, you have to catch people in their moments. That's what's important. I'll tell you what if I asked you to generate a sixth ray look? Could you do it? That's pretty good. Oh, that's really good. I've been watching you anyway. I think you may have Pisces rising, and that would add to it. Yes. Oh, that's good, Iris. I like that. Now, what if you were to burn with idealism? Can anybody burn with idealism? What do you think? Can anybody do that? Take a deep breath. Oh, that was good, BL. That was good, but that was just natural. That's the problem.
Only the fourth rays will be willing.
Detached look. That's good, Michael. Detached look. Okay. Can't help but notice the Scorpio over here, Annabelle. Yeah, I can't help but notice the Scorpio. We'll get to you. Okay. And one of the things that we didn't talk about for the fifth ray was the squinting, discriminative eyes, how they look to analyze. That's another factor. We left that out.
Of what? Of which?
Fifth ray. Fifth ray, yeah. The eyes narrow. So, are you telling me the truth? And then throw a little Scorpio into that, and you really got a situation. That's nice there. Sorry. Is it Mary? Maria? Mirna, that's it. That's it. You had that. And Carol, what do you think? Oh, yes. Okay. I know right now we're all hiding ourselves, lest we be seen, but you're a very interesting lot, really.
We'll see them more with the astrology.
Your eyes just went that way. That was a good third-rate thing to do. Yes. I know. Try to look discriminating. I'm frightened. All right. Such second ray. Tiago. Yes. We ought to just have one of these moments of silence where we all look around at each other, see what can happen. We have time. I'm not wasting time right now. It only seems like it. Oh, that's good. Such second ray there with Katya. And today I was taking a walk with Gloria and she started to describe something. And she almost went into a dance in describing how these things were, it was so rhythmic. And it was such a combination of the third and the fourth ray. Yes, Annabelle?
Would Oral Roberts be in Ray 6?
Well, I hope Oral Roberts is the sixth ray. I hope so. I've seen him look to heaven. All right, now we get into ray 7.
Right, so ray 7. And Eva mentioned she didn't have full time to go over ray 7 with the group last night. So I'll just add in some keywords about ray 7. Order, organization, and ceremonial magic. So those are some of the key expressions of the 7th ray. So when we see the ray then in the form, then some of the characteristics are the chin can be often elevated and the eyes are looking down. So that kind of leads into a proud or haughty look. Very good posture, but sometimes to the point of stiffness or rigidity. Hands are composed and fingers not wide apart. Often well-dressed. That's just kind of a 7th ray expression. The form is important. And because of the magical aspect, a magical look in the eyes is sometimes seen. Sometimes a square face, and when the 7th ray moves, it's often with rhythm and order. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these examples. So here we have Sir Francis Bacon, and definitely we see this formal, well-dressed individual, seemingly good posture. The eyes in some of these poses are looking down, which may be indicative of that. Let's see here. Where do we see him looking down? Well, yeah, okay.
To raise his chin a bit. But there's the Count of Saint-Germain, so that's a later incarnation, you see. But it's the same individual.
Yeah. And then it's kind of interesting because we know this is a very significant incarnation of Master R, the 7th ray master, who later went on to become the Mahachohan. So 7th ray in manifestation. Anybody seen anything else here?
The eyes here are quite unique. As a matter of fact, Bacon's eyes were particularly described. He had a lot of 3rd ray as well. And sometimes they called it the cold shifting eye. It was a particular description of him.
The collar alone looks like he would have stiffness around him. How do you move with, gently with a collar like that?
Well, it was the style, of course, but he was actually taken down as the result of some bribery charge, interestingly enough. It was about breaking with formalities, but he did so much for science. He really was 7th ray, 5th ray, 3rd ray, so much of that. Here, of course, is a different incarnation, and by this time he is a master.
Okay, and let's see here. So the next one is Ben Franklin. You know what? I'm wondering, these slides are out of order. I'm wondering if we have the latest version of this.
Uh-oh.
Heidi, can you go back?
Benjamin Franklin, meanwhile, his horoscope is he was a Capricorn.
These
It
are
brings
the
in a
wrong
lot
ones
of
for me.
seventh ray, as you
I
know.
don't know where she-
And he had apparently Aries rising. And you can, he was one of those individuals who made so many things practical. As a matter of fact, and financially, a trust fund that he started for educating young people back
Some
in
of
the
the ones
18th
that I
century still exists in Philadelphia and is still doing exactly the same thing. So he was, I think he was one of my impression, along with Thomas Jefferson, one of those disciples of Master R, who went to France, you know, where the Count de Saint-Germain was found at that time, and was educated accordingly in the founding of the new country. With funding for the, yes, so he had a lot of responsibilities there. You see, sometimes when we use these old pictures, it's hard to see as much as in a photograph. And he had a lot of third rate too, of course, Franklin. He just was such a busy man. Aha.
Aha.
Oh.
So here's an example of, wonderful example, Queen Elizabeth. Look at her hands. I thought this was really, if I can point the hands together, composed, fingers together. And the proper dress. Have you ever seen Queen Elizabeth without her hat and her purse? You know, and there she is. She's wearing her seventh ray color for us of 7. Yeah.
Suspecting
Her
she's
pearls.
the pearl,
Her
yeah,
pearls,
she's so
yeah.
put together.
Yeah.
She's a seventh ray soul in my estimation. She's a Taurus with Capricorn rising.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So here is Walt Disney. Now, you know, he's a combination of many things, but we certainly see that square jaw, and his chin seems slightly elevated. His eyes in this pose, well, would we say they're looking down? Maybe a little bit. And he certainly is here well-dressed.
The arch to the eyebrow is sometimes found in the seventh ray. The arch. So, and that you saw in Francis Bacon. That's the to the manner born look, the haughty look. But here, of course, he had a lot of third ray. He was a good businessman. But of course, seventh ray, you just can't deny it with this guy, because he, through animation, he brought magic to life on the screen. You know, so this, he loved magic. But you can also, I see some third ray in there as well. I do. Okay. I don't know. Does anybody know his chart? He had a lot of Virgo. I know that, and I'm not sure what else. Okay. You know, freeze. Don't move. This is Michael. Mike? Right? Okay. He's really got it. He's really got it. He's got the elevated chin. He's got the magic. He's got the posture. He's got it. Okay? So I've been noticing you doing that all the time, and I was just hoping for an opportunity to freeze you. But this is an example. And now I don't know your race, and I don't really know you yet. But you know, I'd like to find out. He looks like he could be become a good magician. I think so. And you know, he's got the squaring of the jaw. He's got that too. You know. So now, what are your signs? Pisces with Capricorn rising. Okay, but there's something much more. He's really got it. Okay, so you know, this thing about pronounced types. Not all of us are pronounced types. But sometimes when you see a particular quality really pronounced, you have to isolate that in your mind as something that is an identifier. Okay. Now, by the way, another thing we should have put in on the fifth ray, I'm sorry, a skeptical look. You know, I see occasionally, because, you know, what are we talking about here? And I'm looking out here and I'm seeing a lot of skeptical looks, you know, occasionally. Occasionally. And when you get, you know, that skeptical look, you kind of narrow your eyes and, oh, tell me another one. That's on the fifth ray. You have one. Uh-huh.
And you know, this is interesting because I was seeing some of the same characteristics there with that square jaw, and here's Uri Geller, the square jaw there. And I'm just going to invite you to, do you think he has a magical look in his eyes?
Would you like to go spooning with him? It's an old term.
You're showing your age.
He bends spoons, and you know, back when you used to go out in a boat with a girl, you know, and under the moonlight, that was called spooning. Previous incarnation.
Yeah. And, you know, a very attractive, well put together form and face here. And, you know, and in this picture, you know, his eyes, looking down, sometimes it's hard to capture that, but there were some pictures his eyes tended to look down too, so.
And see, if you elevate your chin, if your chin is elevated, your eyes naturally look like they're looking down, see? So it's more what happens with the chin.
Would Carl Sagan be
Well, Carl Sagan, we know he was a Taurus guy, I think, was he? And he had a lot of fifth ray. Take a look at his eyebrows.
Okay, well, this is the last one. Oh, no, wait.
This is good.
Thomas Jefferson. Okay, so we have Thomas Jefferson. What are we seeing here?
Well, the second I'm seeing a set jaw and
Yeah.
Well, he looked to the manner born.
To the manner born, absolutely. To the manner born. A tall man, an Aries. I forget what his, an architect, and everything. Just like Benjamin Franklin. And interesting sometimes, you know, sometimes the first-rate types, they're orators, they want to get you in front of them and talk about things. The seventh-rate type is by committee and writing letters. And when he was president, he used to communicate with his cabinet, writing letters instead of getting them face to face. But that's just a little tidbit.
He looks haughty as well.
Haughty, a little haughty, perhaps. A little haughty. I forget his ascendant. Does anybody remember? Okay. It was definitely Aries guy.
There we go.
And do we have a better example here? Proud, haughty, yes, well-dressed, eyes looking down.
She was the queen after all, right?
Yeah,
But Queen Victoria, triple Gemini. Triple Gemini. I mean, this thing, you know, is so seventh rate. But
so we'll just see what.
her Mercury was in Taurus, and that makes all the difference. So we'll get more into that later. That's such a good example.
Okay, so that concludes the seventh ray, and shall we?
Well,
have
let's
a
see what
little
time. Yeah, we're
break?
going to have a little break. We're going to have a little break, but let's just see. First, just take a look at how you're sitting for a second. You see, the casual sitting will reveal more the third ray than the. But is there anybody here who's actually sitting erect?
Karen?
Where's Karen?
Karen Gritzka?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, well, yes, she has quite a bit of seventh ray. Absolutely, and maybe, you know, and do you feel you have any fifth ray in your makeup? No, this was Karen back here. What ray do you give to your mind? 5. Okay, I saw that. There was a moment of disbelief. Here is, with you, Roxanne, there's some seventh ray here. Okay, well, it shows. Okay. And over here, a little bit. Definitely not there. Yes, you know, just kind of look around people at the kind of space they create around them, you know, whether it's vibrating, or it's rhythmic, or it just seems a little chaotic, you know. Who here thinks you have a seventh ray physical?
It's physical.
Physical. Who thinks you have a seventh ray personality? Seventh ray personality. Okay, fewer, but there it applies. All right, well, we're going to, now on this break, how long will we take? Just
15.
15 minutes or so?
Sharon
15
may have
minutes?
an announcement.
And you have announcements. Observe your fellow classmates. Just keep your eyes open and see what you see. See how they move. See how they talk. With the seventh ray, there's not a lot of lateral movement when it is a ray of composition. Do you feel, what do you feel you have? Third ray physical or third? Or seven? Seven. Looks like it. Look at the hands, freeze. See? When the hands are all over the place, you know, don't know what to do with them, but composed. That's the seventh ray thing too. Probably you have a seventh ray physical too, I think so. Yeah, I think so. All right, we take a little break and then we come back and get into something. Are there any questions? Are there any
Michael,
questions?
Michael.
Sharon.
Are there any
Sharon has some
questions? Are
announcements.
there any questions about any of this? No? No, you got it, right?
Okay, the 3 is movement.
3 is the ray of activity and 7 is the ray of order. Yes. Okay. All right.